Well, it's the first episode and I'm already out of the living room. Hopefully I'm not going to have to change the name of this show because I don't really like Gamers' Spare Room all that much. Well, we are in the spare room and this is my Mac Mini and I'm running the emulator ElectrEm by Thomas Harte version 0.6c. Well, the first thing we have to do on Citadel is choose the control system that we want to use. You can use keyboard or joystick, but I'm going to use keyboard because that's keeping it real. That's what I used to play on when I was a youngster. Didn't have a joystick, couldn't afford the adapter. So I'm going to choose keyboard layout 1, and on this game you get to choose whether you want to be a guy or a girl. So I haven't ever really wanted to be a girl, so I'll stay as a guy, and let's load it up. Now that is a damn sight faster than it used to be on the tape drive. You can imagine probably waiting 10 or 15 minutes for the game to load. But here it is, the attract screen, and it shows you a few of the screens in the game as you're going through. The plot is laid out within the cassette sleeve, and that tells us a bit of the backstory here. Marduk, the dictator, has decided that he's going to invade planet Earth from his planet Kodor. And he has sent his minions to Earth, and they're currently inhabiting an old, disused citadel, an old castle. So it's not just a case of solving the puzzles, you've actually got to negotiate the monsters that are found therein. Now Marduk has left his evil bodyguards to protect the place, and they come in the form of, well, giant monks. And these looming ominous beings can be dispatched with a spell to the face. This isn't actually as difficult as it sounds. It's just a case of jumping up to face height and firing a spell into their face, at which point it destroys them. But only until you leave the screen. When you come back, they will have returned. They're nasty beasts, for they regenerate. And they have constructed a teleporter. Now, it's not fully operational yet, or at least they haven't used it to send their invasion forces through. And for some reason you're thrown into the middle of this mess and your job is to save planet Earth. No small ask, I might add. You have to negotiate the game's more than 100 screens, solving puzzles, to find 5 crystals. And those 5 crystals are used to power the teleporter, and you need to go to the alien planet and steal their bejeweled figurine. And stealing this from them, for some reason, unexplained reason, it will destroy the teleporter. And so here's the start screen. The one thing I really love about it is that it contains some of the important objects from around the game. In fact, if you pay close attention to it, it may well help you solve some of the puzzles. The one thing I don't like about it though, and the game as a whole, and this only goes for the Electron version, are those ugly bands of random colour at the top and bottom of the screen. And thanks to the power of video editing software, I can remove them for your viewing pleasure. So let's hit action and dive right in. So all games in Citadel start right here in the main hall. And one of the first things you'll notice is, well, there's a name to the screen up the top there, main hall. On the left hand side at the top it tells you how much energy you've got, and that noise there tells you that you've just lost 1 point of energy due to radiation poisoning. Also at the top of the screen it tells you in blue there how many points you've got. At the moment I've got 0, and it also gives you a grid reference. So the main hall is 0, 0, and all of the other screens in the game are labelled in relation to that room, so you can work out where you are around the main hall as you navigate your way through the citadel. And that's one of the keys that you need to open a room. And as you'll see there, a blue block sitting on a red base. So it's something you can pick up, but you'll need to figure out, well, what's the purpose of this blue block? What does it represent? I mean, that adds to part of the charm of Citadel, is that sometimes it's difficult to figure out exactly what something is just by looking at it. It's not like modern titles where you can, when it gets stored in your inventory, you can go to the inventory screen and look at some information about it. No, this you've got to figure it out all for yourself. It's a little bit of trial and error. As you're seeing there, that was one of the monks, and a spell or a fireball, whatever, to his face kills him. But he's back again when you enter the screen. And on the left there, that is the pink crystal, and the first one that you really need to collect. One of the things that made this game very different to a lot of other titles that were released around about the same time is that instead of having lives, you've got energy. And you start off with 150 units of energy. And what's more, every 20 seconds, one of those energy units is depleted. Now, they explain this within the narrative as background radiation affecting your character, and therefore he or she is slowly dying. So this sets up, in effect, a countdown. You're against the clock. You've got to save the planet Earth before you die. It's not all doom and gloom, because that energy can be replenished, but it can also be exceeded. Throughout the game, there are energy flasks that come in green and red, and they can replenish 30 or 50 points respectively. And every time you solve a puzzle, you get energy for it. There are things found around the Citadel that, when taken to a certain place, can give you energy as well. So throughout the whole game, there are over 1,000 units of energy that can be collected. But according to the publishers, you only need about 400 units to complete the game. Now that represents the first real head scratcher for me, or at least it was when I was a kid, is, well, I know I've got to get through this room, but how do I manage it without coming into contact with this red thing? I mean, I can't outrun it. And in the instruction manual, it tells you that you need to appease the wolf guardians. Now, as a child, I remember thinking to myself, what the hell does appease mean? Luckily, I had a dictionary and managed to solve it. Well, at least figure out what appease meant. But then I had to figure out how am I going to appease the wolf guardians? What can I give them? And in the instructions it tells you that along your way you will find something, but you're going to have to do something to it before they'll accept it. Well, I'm not going to spoil that puzzle for you because I'd really like you to go and play it. Well, that brings us to the end of the review section of this show, and it only really leaves me to say goodbye. But before I do, I just want to ask for your help. Firstly, I'd like some feedback. Feedback about the show itself. Let me know what you think. Did it look really bad? Was the sound awful? Or was my style of review not what you'd like? Tell me, because this is my first attempt and I want some help to make this as good as it possibly can be. So if you've got time, leave a comment in the pane below. Click the like or dislike, thumbs up, thumbs down button. If you've got more time than that, I'd love to see a video response, so please leave me one of those. Of course, if you do want to see more videos, please click the subscribe button. It's free and I will be very grateful. I also want feedback on what you think about the game itself. Now, some of you out there are going to have an Acorn Electron or a BBC Micro. Go and get it out of the loft or out of the cupboard, dust it off, start it up, and hopefully yours will work, unlike mine. And if you've got a copy of Citadel, of course, play it. But if you haven't, you can find copies of it on eBay for less than £5 normally. It can be found individually, or someone might be selling a pack of games, but it's also found on the compilation Play It Again Sam 1. Failing that, there's always emulation. Now, I'm not sure what the law is regarding the Electron itself and the game, whether they're still under copyright. Of course, if they are, and you would be breaking the law by downloading the emulator and the software, then of course don't do it. If you don't care about the law, well, that's entirely up to you. But if you do get the opportunity to play the game, do it. It is a fantastic little adventure. And I want feedback from you about it. Tell me what you think. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Am I crazy for thinking that this game is worthy of notoriety and merit? I want to know. So please, the feedback would be most appreciated. Well, as it's the end of the episode, I'd just like to say thank you for watching, and from my spare room to your wherever, this is Simon signing off. Bye bye.